Hello, all, and welcome to episode 28 of the Lair of Lore. I'm Steven,
And I'm Miriam.
and we're here to talk about Dominaria today because, weirdly enough, we actually haven't started talking about Dominaria yet.
It's only been about 2 weeks, so
Well, it's
we're
just,
actually on top of it
it's
this
weird
time.
because it sort of got all spoiled, and then they realized that people like us don't go and look at unofficial spoilers,
No.
so they backed off and went, you know what, fine, we'll do our normal spoiler season. So
Hmm.
it was just weird. But now, hey, we have a totally normal spoiler season with a bunch of weird, janky cards. Actually, not that janky.
Yay!
Janky seems mean. They're mostly good cards.
There's maybe a few things that might need a little working out, but honestly, there's nothing that like leaps out at me. I'm like, no, no, this was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
No. So
So, do we just want to go over the mechanics article first then?
yeah, have you had a chance to like read that in depth? Because we got sidetracked while I was reading it.
I was aware of most of it to start with. Yeah, I was aware of most of this to start with because So there's a couple of mechanics. The first one that everyone knows about is kicker. Kicker is okay. So kicker is a mechanic that a lot of people who have played Magic for any amount of time will see a new mechanic and just go, "Oh, it's just kicker," because the idea behind kicker is that you pay an additional cost on top of casting a creature or a spell or anything, and you get an additional effect for paying whatever that cost is, be it a mana cost, be it a there's vicious offerings where you can sacrifice a creature to get the additional cost. So a lot of times new effects get sort of this bad rap with older players is it's just a kicker variant because kicker can do kind of anything, which is why they don't use it very often because it can do kind of anything, so it kind of means nothing.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it's a thing that a lot of players are familiar with. It's just you get an additional effect out of a thing so that a creature or spell that was very effective in the beginning of the game still has some amount of use as you get towards the later half of the game.
Okay. It just looks like pay the thing, get the thing, or
Yeah.
do the
Yeah,
thing.
get
That's
more
pretty
effect.
straightforward. Yeah.
The other thing, which this one's a little weird and in theory should only matter for Dominaria, is cards being historic. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
artifacts, legendaries, and sagas are historic. It's pretty much that simple. Um, Basically, because Dominaria is so old, things like artifacts are probably all dating back to some sort of previous epoch. The legendaries are all historic because they're legendaries, which means they're doing something important. Legendaries does now also include stuff like lands and planeswalkers because they're legendary now. And the sagas make sense, but we'll get to the sagas as their own thing.
Yeah.
And pretty much all that cards care about is just like, if you have something else that is historic. Like,
Yes.
hang on, let me copy this one up into the browser, or up into the thing real quick. Ta-da. Oh, you're gonna be weird about this, aren't you? Oh, I just have it set to invisible. Haha, okay. So, Sarah Disciple is a one generic and a white creature bird cleric. It's a 1/1 with flying and first strike. Whenever you cast a historic spell, Sarah Disciple gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So if you cast an artifact, a legendary spell, or creature, or anything, or a saga. So it's just that easy.
That's pretty simple.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, hexproof from is literally stated right there.
yeah. So for anyone who's been playing for a while, Hexproof From is basically, hey, you remember how protection is broken as all hell? Well, this is a little bit less broken version.
Mm-hmm.
So Hexproof From just means that they have hexproof, but it's only from whatever is stated.
Mm-hmm.
So, the one big new thing. Well, sorry, there are two big new things. One is legendary sorceries, and I assume instants as well.
Let's see.
which are definitely new because I've never seen one of these before. So the one that they're showing here, which I believe functionally this is Ursa turning on the... Oh god, what was it called? It was basically the device he uses to end the Brothers' War, if I remember correctly. And it starts with a C, but I can't... Or... Is it a C? I don't remember exactly what it's called, but this is Ursa turning on this device that he used to end a massive war that covered most of Dominaria. Ursa's Ruinous Blast. For 4 generic and a white, it's a legendary sorcery. You may cast a legendary sorcery only if you control a legendary creature or planeswalker. Exile all non-land permanents that aren't legendary. Centuries ago, one man's vengeance plunged the world into ice and darkness. Actually, this may not have been the end of the Brothers' War.
I think it might be. It's the Golgothian Silex.
That's it.
I just popped in to do a little research real quick.
So was... Oh, okay, I know why I'm confused then. Because, so, Ice Age was their first 3-set block, sort of, in that they did Ice Age, the second part of Ice Age, which I've forgotten, and then for some reason Fallen Empires, and then came back several years later and did Cold Snap to finish the block. And Cold Snap had phyrexians in it that were like leftovers from the Phyrexian invasion. So my brain is going like, wait, but there were Phyrexians in Ice Age, so is this actually him taking out the Phyrexians? Like, no, that was done with the weird time soul bomb things. So no, that's also wrong. I'm just remembering Cold Snap because Cold Snap was weird.
Yeah. So this is something from... Like, you were right the first time, the Brothers' War.
Yeah, so
ending the Brothers' War.
This is his war.
And it actually turned Ursa to a planeswalker at this point as well.
It didn't so much turn him into one as finally awoke his spark. But yeah. Wait, no, this may actually have turned him into a planeswalker, because he got, like, the Might Stone and the Weak Stone, like, fused to him? Or was that... he had something to do with the Might Stone and the Weak Stone, which eventually also powered Karn. Look, the old story's weird. But yeah, this is the end
There's a lot of stuff to look at.
Yeah, this is the end of his... There was even, like, books about this one, and I think they weren't even that bad. Which is to say, I think they were actually pretty good books. Yeah, this is the end of the war between him and... I think they were stepbrothers, Mishra. They were both artificers, though I feel like they had some fundamental differences. I just don't remember them, because I unfortunately always end up referring back to the Planar Chaos version of Mishra, because that's the only one that because that's the only one that got a card. And the Planar Chaos one was from a timeline where, one, he didn't die, so he was clearly a different person. So then... I'm
trying to figure something out really quick.
Yeah, what do you need?
So I'm looking at the legendary sorcery, and I'm just trying to figure out playing it. So you have to have... It looks like you have to have either a legendary creature or a planeswalker to play it.
Yeah.
That makes total sense. Once you cast the legendary sorcery, it doesn't matter what happens to that creature. So I guess, does it only have to be there when you cast the spell?
Yeah, so basically when you cast the spell checks to see, do you have something functionally that is able to cast this? So like the legendary creature, the Planeswalker, is the one in canon casting this.
Yes.
And after it gets cast, then it's just done. So I mean, if you kill it, then... you've already cast it, so yeah, that's not an issue. So, like, someone can't...
Okay, so it's like, no one can, like, you can't negate the effect of the sorcery if you kill the creature. It's been cast
because
already.
The trigger is on... The point where it checks is as you cast it, not as it resolves.
Okay.
Although I'm willing to bet that they probably included the bit about non-legendary, or that aren't legendary. That's weird. Why did they go with... that aren't legendary instead of exile all non-legendary? That's a weird formatting, but I'm willing to bet that they went with that specifically to alleviate some of those questions.
Yeah, because it's just like, it's something that I was just reading and I was like, wait, hang on.
Yeah,
so back up a second.
So whoever casts it is totally fine, and so are any other legends that are out. But there is the downside of So are any other legends, including your enemies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to cover this saga then? Like, I can help explain them if you don't. I know you were confused about these.
Yeah, a little bit. So I mean, even just so the card that they have for, so I guess the other mechanic that is hasn't been seen before is sagas, and it kind of plays against the whole Dominaria is fueled by legends. It's a big deal about legends.
I think that these have less to do with like legendary creatures and permanents, and more to do with a lot of these are telling about Dominaria's history.
Yes, which is why the different effects.
Large history.
Yeah, which is why the effects are grouped into chapters. So for example, Stephen, if you can pop up Flame of Keld.
I already have it up for you.
Oh, thank you. So, for example, Flame of Keld, which is it's one generic and a red, an enchantment it's an enchantment.
All of these sagas are enchantments.
It's okay. How to phrase the card. So as the saga enters the battle, and after your draw step, add a lore counter, sacrifice after 3. Okay, so the first chapter is discard your hand. Chapter 2, draw 2 cards. If a red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or players this turn, it deals that much damage plus 2 to that permanent or player instead. Cool.
So functionally, the way this works is you pay a generic and a red, it hits the field, and you discard your hand. Next turn, after you draw a card, you then draw 2 more cards.
Mm-hmm.
Then the turn after that, if a red source would deal
damage,
to a permanent player, so basically that final effect goes on and it lasts until the end of turn. But when that third chapter, like that third lore counter hits it, that functionally also makes the card sacrifice itself.
Yeah.
So for that one turn, you have basically, it's not even a Furnace of Wrath, it's basically just a damage bonus.
Mm-hmm. And I'm skimming through right now just to figure out the counters. I think it's just basically like once you have all 3 counters, that's it.
They all max out at 3. It's once you get the third one, you get an effect that lasts for that turn, and the enchantment is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Or is sacrificed, so it gets around any weird shenanigans that you could possibly think of to try and give it indestructible or something silly like that.
Okay, that's not that bad.
Yeah, they're all pretty simple. There are a couple of ones that get a little weird because 2 of the chapters will do the same things. Mm-hmm. But functionally, it's still basically the same. Actually, I think that's only... Is that really only the white ones? Okay, no, there's a blue one that does the same. And it should be said that these are also appearing across all rarities. This one is uncommon. We've got... I don't think we have any common ones, which is probably good. But there's definitely rare, there's uncommon, there's at least 1 mythic, there might be 2. Actually, I don't think we've seen any commons, so that might be the... Oh, wait. We saw some commons in the mechanics article.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there are so few cards that I think we can actually go over pretty much all of them.
We could honestly just go by color.
Yeah. Well, let's start with white then.
Yeah. Because it's at the top of the page.
Yeah, I'll grab this first one just because this one also has some stuff to unpack with it.
Yeah. You go for it then.
Because this first one is a legendary. So you'll see right there, if you're watching on the video, it has a slightly alternate card frame. Yay. That card frame doesn't mean anything. It literally is just, hey, it's a legendary, just so you're aware, because... Oh, God. Sorry, there's, like, a cat hair or something trying to claw its way into my eye.
They made it easy by a glance to see if it's legendary.
It's legendary, so you know that, hey, I've got a legend out, so I can cast that legendary sorcery. Or, hey, I've got a legend, so that means it's historic. Just, it's an at-a-glance thing. It's totally fine. I like it.
It definitely makes it for a simpler gameplay.
Yeah, it should also be said, one thing that they've also brought back, which I really like the way they've done it, is... because I think that the old line was kind of obvious and dumb, but again, I also don't like the old card frames, because I think they look dumb. there's a little bar separating the like usable game text and the flavor text. And unlike the old bar, it's not some like thick black monstrosity thing that looks awful and is massively disjointed. It's just
I'll
like,
call it delicate.
yeah, it's delicate. That's good. So this is Denitha Caption Paragon. For 2 generic and a white, she is a legendary creature, human knight. She's a 2/2 with first strike, vigilance, and lifelink. Aura and equipment cards you cast cost 1 less to cast. I will protect the less fortunate. I will love bravely. Wait, what? I will love bravely. I will face despair and fight on. As a caption, I can do no less. I don't remember who the captions are. Look, there are a lot of different Look, we've got the map behind. Hang on. I'm gonna, like, make everything go invisible for a second. Just to show, like, we have the map behind us. Any given one of Dominaria's, like, stories pretty much happened on, like, one tiny subsection of this damn map. So it's easy for me to forget who was where. Like, there was an entire set on Sarpedia, which is the tiny island that you can't see behind Miriam's camera box.
It's like the southeast corner of the map.
There was an entire block set there. Or, no, maybe it was only a set. It's... Look, old Dominaria was also weird, because it was before... Some of it was before, and some of it was after they came up with the 3-block structure.
Just to, like, say real quick, I have a thing for maps. I love a good map.
I love that they gave us a really nice, like, high-resolution version of this map. It's
so pretty!
Oh, God, there's someone that made it in, like, did a mock-up globe of it on Twitter. I'm gonna see if I can find that. I think Chewy shared it.
What?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw that in our show notes if I can find it. I think Chewy shared it, so it should be easy to find.
Oh, that's so cool.
So do you want to take the that saga that's up next?
Yeah. So the next card is Fall of Thran. So
Fall of the Thran. They were sort of like a precursor race on Dominaria before the Brothers' War. It seemed, if I remember correctly, a lot of the Brothers' War was fought over Thran artifacts.
Nice.
Or Thran, because...
Thran.
Well,
Fall of the Thran.
I don't actually know which one it is. I've heard both, but I think the people who say Thran are doing it because they want to think of Grand Admiral Thrawn. But I don't know for sure.
Well, let's call it let's just go with Fall of the Thran, because that's what comes most easily to my pronunciation. So, for 5 generic and a white,
I just read the first one. I'm sorry. I haven't actually read this before.
What?
The first ability.
Destroy all lands.
What the hell?
That sucks. That sucks so hard.
I mean, it's basically just play Armageddon. Hang on. How much does Armageddon cost? Because I think this might actually cost 1 more than Armageddon. That would make sense.
That's just like, oh, that's so mean.
If I can remember to spell Armageddon. Oh, this costs 2 more than Armageddon. That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair.
Alright, so first so essentially destroy all your lands.
Yeah, just play all lands go
all
away.
The lands are gone. Chapter 2. Each player returns 2 land cards from their graveyard to the battlefield, and you get to do this twice.
Yeah, so functionally it's basically the Thran... I guess the story that they're telling here is basically the Thran seem to have wiped themselves out and wiped out pretty much a lot of Dominaria whenever they were around, and this is the slow rebuilding after their fall. That's actually... I like that. That's really, like, neat and easy to unpack. It's also just a decent card for...
The artwork in the set.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm going to say. I love the artwork in this set, but I especially really, really love the artwork on the sagas.
They're really
The fact that they can do such good stuff in a really weird-sized frame, and still, like, there's also the watermarks in the, like, left-hand side that...
They're so lovely.
I think a lot of the watermarks are important, but I don't know what a lot of them mean. Like, there's one that I think has something to do with the weather light. I don't know what this one specifically is, but I just like them. They're really, really nice.
So as pretty much anyone who's watched this, listened to this, or seen any of our other stuff, I am a little old lady in a 24-year-old person's body. I like stained glass and pretty detailing.
Let me throw up the next one then.
Oh God.
Okay.
Even if in I'm just gonna glance back to Denitha Capation Paragon. Her sword is either made of stained glass or is reflecting the stained glass.
I think it's got I'm trying to remember the name of that thing that runs down the center of a blade, but I believe she's got basically a thing of stained glass through the middle of it.
It's so pretty! And it's luminous.
Yeah. So the one that Miriam was also talking about is History of Benaglio. So this is a mythic rare enchantment saga for 1 generic and 2 white. First chapter, so when you play it, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with vigilance. You do that on the second chapter as well. And then on the third chapter, knights you control get +2/+1 until end of turn. Benaglio was... Oh, I need to pull up the actual map. I can't keep making all of our stuff go invisible. I need to pull up the actual map to see if I can remember where Benaglio was. But functionally, Benaglio was sort of a... sort of feudal state, but was generally not actually too bad. They were very big on knights. They're over on the northwestern island of Arona, with, just below Keld, and over by the forest of Llanowar.
Oh, is this, Benaglio, there you are, right there.
And if I remember correctly, a fair few number of the heroes of the Weatherlight grew up or had something to do with Benaglio at different points. I am going to largely ignore these, uncommons and commons, just because one of them is Knight of Grace, which is basically just the thing it's got hexproof from black. It's functionally it's a white knight, but with some slightly different abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And the Sarah Disciple,
also,
which we already talked about, so.
Because we didn't talk about it, that's stained glass!
Yeah, that's... Benaglio has always had a thing for stained glass. There's a land... Hang on, let me see if I can remember the name of it. I want to say it was called New Benaglio? Yes, there's a land called New Benaglio from Future Sight. That is basically just it's like a dome that's sort of built into a hillside that's covered in stained glass. Okay, let me see if I can find... No, the card. I need an image of the card so I can throw it up here. Oh, there we go. This one's from Gatherer.
Ooh.
Copy.
I also looking up the artist as well. I think it's Noah Bradley.
Yeah, Noah Bradley does a lot of art. In fact, I believe... Oh, no, Richard Wright did the New Benaglio.
Oh, Noah Bradley did Urza's Ruinous Blast. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Noah Bradley, if I remember correctly, he does a lot of art, but he does some other stuff too.
It's good art, good color usage.
Yup.
Excellent. I would even
they
go
have
so far
him
to say
do a
color
lot of
usage.
the stained glass.
It's so pretty though.
So do you want to do the Triumph next then?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is another saga card. So for 1 white and 1 generic, Triumph of Gerard. So on chapter 1 and chapter 2, chapter 1 and chapter 2, put a 1/1 +1/+1 counter on a target creature you control with the greatest power. Okay? Target creature you control with on chapter 3. Target creature you control with the greatest power gains flying, first strike, and lifelink until end of turn. That's cool.
So if I remember correctly, Gerard...
Let's beef it up.
Yeah, Gerard was the culmination of Urza's bloodline experiments, basically to make a, theoretically perfect for whatever his endeavors were human.
Oh, okay.
And functionally, he was basically like a piece of the legacy weapon, which was... It was kind of, honestly, similar to assembling the Infinity Gauntlet in the Marvel Universe. It was basically like, Gerard, the Weatherlight, I think Karn, and some other pieces I'm forgetting that together basically took out, were to be used in conjunction with each other to destroy, I want to say Yawgmoth. Originally it was intended against Yawgmoth. I don't remember if it was actually used against him.
Oh, hey. So Gerard and Denitha are from the same familial line.
Oh. Oh.
Because when I looked up Gerard, it was Gerard Capation. That's his name.
Ah. I think he was adopted, but I don't remember.
Yeah, so they're at least of the same clan then.
Oh, okay, so here's the explanation of what the hell the legacy weapon was.
Okay.
So, the legacy weapon was made up of the bones of Ramos. I don't remember who Ramos was. The chimeric sphere, Gerard's hourglass pendant, the Juju bubble. I have no idea what the hell that is. Karn, the might stone, the mind stone, the weak stone. Sorry, the might stone and the mind stone. The might stone and the weak stone, which are part of Ursa, and I think also gave Karn life. The mind stone, the null rod, power matrix, the salvation sphere, also known as squeeze toy, the sky shaper, no idea what that one is either, the skyship weatherlight, the touchstone, the Thran engine, Thran forge, Thran tome, and all of them together were used to, I'm still pretty sure, hang on, let's see here. In the story of the Weatherlight, it became evident that there were some magical forces guiding the assembly of the legacy. It evolves incorporating artifacts and beings not originally intended as part of its design. In this way, the legacy represents an intangible but undeniable guiding force. There we go, sorry. There's a collection of artifacts assembled by Ursa that work in conjunction to defeat his mortal enemy, Yawgmoth. And eventually it sort of started gathering up other stuff of its own volition, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But functionally, they all sort of worked together, and I believe they did eventually manage to take out Yawgmoth. I believe it was the weapon that finally killed him.
Cool.
Yeah, it was weird.
It's a lot of detail.
Yeah.
So much detail.
There's going to be a lot of things that do a lot of callbacks in this set.
Yeah, okay. I feel like I'm going to have to find these books and catch up on these, just so I know what's happening a little bit better.
Okay, so I'm going to cover this one, but only because it's silly and because it's a really deep, stupid callback.
Go for it.
Murud Explorer.
I was hoping we'd say something about this, because what?
So, for 3 generic and a blue, this is a creature Murud Scout. It is a 3/3. Did I say it's a common? When Murud Explorer enters the battlefield, target player puts the top 4 cards of his or her library into their graveyard. Oh my god, it's a mill card. Yay. I mean, I like mill, but
evil.
I'm a bad person.
That's evil.
Homerud's
so evil.
Homerud spread outward from Sarpedia as the climate cooled, raiding coastal sediments for supplies. I don't remember which set was for Sarpedia, but they had a set where it was basically, hey, you know all those established creature types that we've got? Let's do one without any of those. So the creature type for blue was Homerids, that were these, like, sometimes cephalopody, or no, that's a different race. They were like these sort of really weird crab people. I'm actually going to try and check if I can see really quick what set that was. Homerid.
Oh, these are kind of awful looking.
I think that's Fallen Empires.
Ugh, I don't think I like the look of them that much.
Yep, so they're from Fallen Empires and Alliances, which were both sort of part of Ice Age, and occurred randomly at times in, like, 5th edition. Like, there's one that also returned in Time Spiral called the Viscera Deepwalker, but that one looks even less humanoid. Like, they have a weird issue where they occasionally just don't look humanoid, and then once, like, this you can sort of see like, okay, it's got like a spear, it's sort of, and it's got like armor attached to it. And then Homerid's spawning bed has things that just totally look like two-legged humanoid lobsters standing up, but they're all silhouetted, so you can't really see them. Homerids are dumb. Homerids are very dumb and are from... The last one was printed in Time Spiral, and before that were printed exclusively in Fallen Empires and Alliances. Out of morbid curiosity, when do you think Fallen Empires and Alliances came out? Just a guess, Miriam, when?
Early 2000s.
Fallen Empires released in 1994.
Oh God, that's...
And I believe
Wow.
Alliances released before it, so hang on.
Oh, I feel kind of young,
Nope,
actually.
nope, sorry. Alliances released in 1996.
I was a baby, and depending on when they were released, I might not have existed just yet.
Yep.
Or I was on my way to existing.
Fallen Empires was a mistake. You should never ever pay any attention to Fallen Empires. Even the mana pool isn't crazy enough to try and do a... So they have a bit called Mythic Conscription, where they go back and look at old sets and try and figure out what would have been Mythic at that time. They've all sort of like agreed, like, we're never doing a Mythic Conscription for Fallen Empires because it's so bad and it was so early that...
Yeah.
Like, they printed a bunch of really good stuff. And, well, sorry. They printed some very, very powerful stuff, mostly in blue, in, like, the first core sets. And then they did Fallen Empires, and Fallen Empires was just terrible. It was awful.
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So would you like
So
to get
much
the
stuff.
next legendary sorcery?
Sure. Well, legendary. The next legendary sorcery is a legendary creature, unless I'm looking at this wrong. Are you talking about the
talking about
saga?
No, I'm talking about the thing immediately next to the Murud Explorer.
Oh, Merfolk Trickster. Wait, we might be looking at. Hang on.
Are you looking at the card image gallery?
Yes.
No, you're not, because there's a thing right next to Murud Explorer.
I have Merfolk Trickster and Academy Drake next to the Murud Explorer.
Karn's Temporal Sundering should be next to it. How zoomed in are you?
Not that zoomed in. I have 3 cards in a row.
Just to make sure. Let's make sure that you are actually at the right link. You're at this?
Let's see. Am I at the right one?
And do you have it set to, like, all cards?
Yes. I haven't changed the settings. Oh, apparently... What?
That's not even a new one. That was one of the cards that was spoiled like a week ago.
What?
I don't know.
Okay, so the one I was looking at is apparently not the right one.
Okay.
Because it goes Murud Explorer, then Merfolk Trickster, and Karn's Temporal Sundering was not on there.
Yeah.
So okay, so I only... Okay, so I'm not crazy. It just wasn't on mine. Okay. So Karn's Temporal Sundering. For 4 generic and 2 blue, this is a legendary sorcery. Target player takes an extra turn after this one. Return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Exile Karn's Temporary Sundering. Temporal Sundering. Temporal, not temporary. Temporal Sundering. Okay. Not bad. So, centuries ago, a quest to harness time became a spiral into chaos.
I'm trying to figure out who actually broke time on Dominaria, because I don't remember who.
Is this when Teferi got stuck in a time bubble or something? Slow time.
No, Teferi didn't get stuck in a time bubble. What Teferi did was, when the Phyrexians invaded Dominaria, he took his entire homeland of...
Jamura?
Was it Jamura? I thought it was a different... I thought it started with a Z.
It says... And so the article I'm looking at is Teferi is a Jamoran. and it's a continent on Dominaria.
I don't think he did it to an entire continent.
So
Zhalfir, I think.
oh, that's so weird. So he's a Jamora. So what is Zhalfir then?
I think Zhalfir is a smaller area.
Oh, it's a kingdom on
Yeah.
Jumaria.
Yes. Okay.
So Jamora is the continent. Zhalfir is like the country on the continent.
Okay. So here's the thing.
That makes more sense.
I found the thing. So we're both sort of right. Zhalfir has been phased out along with the rest of northern Jamora ever since the Phyrexian invasion, when the planeswalker Teferi wanted to spare it from the horrors of the invasion. When Teferi reappeared on Dominaria 300 years after, he found it being torn apart by temporal fissures and rifts. In order to prevent the plane's destruction, he had to find a way to close the temporal rifts created by cataclysmic events in the past. So functionally, it was sort of Teferi's fault, but not completely. Like,
Okay.
the Zhalfir rift suffered a different fate. Jessica, manipulated by Leshrac, used Rada as a mana lens, forcibly closing the rift without consequence for her actions. Without the precise timing, the phased lands of Zhalfir were lost seemingly forever, cast into oblivion, although Teferi said that he could probably save it if he was still a planeswalker. This is, of course, back when planeswalkers were basically gods.
Okay.
And apparently their culture persisted in Femeref and Sukata. I don't actually know those ones off the top of my head. But yeah, functionally, I believe it was mostly Teferi that caused the whole time rift issue, but it wasn't just him. Oh yeah, here we go. It's the Silex Blast generated one of the first tears in fabric of time and space. Then
so Ursa, who did the Golgari Silex blast.
Golgothi, because Golgari...
Golgothi, not Golgari.
Yeah.
Golgothi Silex.
So basically, between the Silex Blast, destruction of Urza's time machine, which apparently Ursa had a time machine, and the Wrathy overlay, where basically... So the thing with Dominaria is that other planes not periodically, but once in a while sort of like overlay on top of it, which is why it was, for a while, had a different name and was basically like the center of the multiverse, because eventually all planes were sort of slowly coalescing on top of it. Wrath overlaid on top of it. The stronghold of Wrath sort of overlaid on top of Urborg, which was a massive, terrifying swamp. And that apparently also caused some weird time rifts, because it wasn't actually, like, a good thing. Yeah, and the time rifts also are what caused the last near apocalypse on Dominaria, because they siphoned off mana and slowly tore the entire plane apart until eventually the mending was caused by a bunch of planeswalkers using their sparks to close the rifts.
Okay, that I did know.
Yeah.
That part I did know. That last chunk
Yeah.
I knew. Because Dominaria's got a very, very long and...
They've had many apocalypses. Many apocalypses.
And they're still standing.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, like, one of the taglines of this set is something about, like, Dominaria is coming back, or something like that. Or it essentially
they
amounts to,
basically
like...
spent this entire time recovering from our entire world almost died.
Yeah.
So, like, we've got Fraley sacrificed her life and her adopted home of Sky Shroud to seal the rift over Keld. Lord Windgrace sacrificed himself to seal a rift over the stronghold in Urborg. Although apparently he may sort of be around as a ghost protecting his homeland.
Oh, cool.
Karn was sent back in time in an effort to close the massive rift over Talaria. Weirdly, he lost his spark, but managed to also maintain... So, this makes almost no sense. He succeeded at the cost of his own spark, but foresaw a fearsome future of what was to come and fled into the multiverse, heading for his created plane of Argentum.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
How does... If he had...
I think
I'm pointing out the obvious. He lost his Planeswalker spark. How can he flee into the multiverse?
I don't know.
I
mean, he's totally got it back too anyway, so he's just not a god, so...
Yeah.
Jessica used part of Rada's life force to seal the rift over Zhalfir, possibly removing the phased-out portion of Jamura from all existence. Jessica then also closed a rift over Yavimaya, sacrificing the Radha's spark and possibly destroying Multani? I don't actually remember what that one is, but the name sounds vaguely familiar. Nicol Bolas sealed the rift over Madara, using the unwilling Leshrac as a sacrifice so that he didn't have to lose his spark, because Nicol Bolas is a dickbag.
I was going to say, that's kind of like standard Nicol Bolas behavior.
And then,
I don't want to do it, but I'm going to try to do it, but use somebody else to do it.
And then Jessica closed the most massive rift over Otaria. This rift killed Jessica and also altered the Planeswalker spark forever. No longer would future Planeswalkers be immortal godlike beings, but instead they would be mortal spellcasters barely able to walk across the planes.
Okay.
And then, actually, because this will sort of help with where we're looking for, like, the actual story. Following the mending, mana on Dominaria began to stabilize again, and new centers of civilization like New Benaglio, although they don't seem to be calling themselves that, they seem to just be calling themselves Benaglio, but we haven't seen that much, so maybe. And Talaria West came into being, although time-lost creatures continue to surface on occasion. The replete mana caused rapid growth and recovery. So, World seems to mostly be doing less terribly. And that was immediately after the mending. The mending was an amount of years ago. They're never freaking clear. Also, apparently Nicol Bolas knew that the mending was going to happen, because he planned the stuff that happened in the Shards of Alara block way ahead of time, in case he lost his godlike powers. Because he planned to go back to Alara and basically he orchestrated the, what was it called? The conflux that would draw the 5 disparate shards into one plane, and he would get a massive power boost out of it, and Baby Ajani is the one who managed to stop him from doing that. Admittedly, Ajani managed to beat him by summoning a copy of Nicol Bolas's soul to make them fight.
Okay.
Yeah, it was weird. It was very weird.
So I sent you a quick question about what you would consider a swear word for this.
No, I would not call that a swear.
Beautiful. Nicol Bolas, such a douche canoe.
Yes, he is. Okay.
Perfect. Sorry. I'm working on the not swearing on the podcast. It's an uphill battle.
Yes, it is. Next we've got the Murari conjecture. God damn it, there's so many weird references. So look, the Murari was a weird item. I don't remember where it came from. It was basically a really powerful magical artifact that caused mutations. It caused at least one entire set by itself, because it mutated a whole bunch of things.
Is that what the Statue of Teferi is holding in the next card?
No, because that's just a thing that he carried. It was an orb thing. I don't know why he carried it, but it was just yeah. The Murari, Karn took, and he, for some, I don't know what reason, used it as the base for the caretaker for his Plane of Argentum, which became Mirrodin, because he made the Murari into, that stupid wizard. What the hell is his name? Memnarch? Yeah.
You're doing I just want to say you're doing really great with these pronunciations.
Well, so Memnarch I vaguely remember because he was part of the original Mirrodin storyline, and I remember the original one because I went to go look it up because I started playing just before Scars of Mirrodin came out.
Okay.
But, yes, he, for some reason, Karn went, hey, this awful thing is warping the minds and bodies of creatures. I'll go take it to my plane that I made and doesn't have any life on it, and make it into the warden of that place, and he totally won't go insane, and totally won't start soul-stealing people from other planes. Yeah, no, he totally did that and went power crazy because Karn, his father, left him alone and made the Murari his base, and the Murari is insane. So,
and then got driven mad by phyrexian oil.
No, well, a little bit. That sort of got retconned. But mostly what it originally was that Memnarch started making these soul traps to grab creatures from other planes and drag them to what he then renamed Mirrodin, so that he could find one that had a Planeswalker spark and use that Planeswalker spark, steal it from them, put it in himself, and then go find his father. And do who the hell knows what. The Murari was a stupid idea for Karn to do anything with. I don't know why he decided, I'll keep this!
This is what?
Yeah, I don't know. So for 4 generic and a green or and a blue, the Murari Conjecture is an enchantment saga. It's a rare. When it enters the battlefield, return target instant card from your graveyard to your hand. The next turn at Chapter 2, return target sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. And next turn on Chapter 3, until the end of your at the end of your turn, when you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose a new target for the copy. Yeah.
Okay.
That actually seems pretty decent. It's basic. It's functionally just a good way to get more spells out there. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
All
I
right.
think the Murari did something similar. Hang on. I'm trying to remember how to spell Murari without looking at the card that has it spelled on it because I'm dumb.
I feel like this one's a little bit more phonetic than anything else.
The Murari... Okay, so for 5 generic, it's a legendary artifact. Whenever you play an instant or sorcery spell, you may pay 3. If you do, copy that spell. Okay, yeah, so this is sort of what it did anyway. Yeah, with a description by Braids. Always good when your flavor text is by Braids. That's usually a sign that you shouldn't be using this item. Braids, Dementia Summoner. It offers you what you want, not what you need.
That can't be healthy.
No, it's definitely not healthy. You should not in any way try and interact with the Murari.
Got it. Oh god, the next one we're gonna cover is kind of, I like it.
Yeah,
I like the art.
I'm pretty sure this one is basically, hey Ursa, why did you create an ice age? Also, let's try and not die in this ice age.
Pretty much. So this is Time of Ice. So as the saga, standard saga.
Yep.
So for 3 generic and a blue, play Time of Ice. So in the first turn, tap target creature and opponent controls. It doesn't untap during its controller's untap step for as long as you control Time of Ice. And that happens for both the first and the second turn.
That's nice. So by the end of it, you can tap down 2? That's actually pretty good.
Yeah. Followed by, on the third turn, return all tapped creatures to their owner's hands. That's mean. I like it.
Love that they also don't need to be tapped by Time of Ice. So just
exactly.
Anything that they attack with the next turn is just like, it's tapped, so when I draw my card, they all go back to your hand.
Yeah. So basically, so you can pick your favorite beastie to get rid of, the biggest one on the field, and you can have that for 2 turns.
And then you can pick the second biggest one.
And then on the third turn,
everything else goes away. Yeah, I like it. I mean, this is pretty much what happened was just
fighting Oh, I was gonna say this card would be really useful if you're fighting against a really aggro deck.
I don't know if this is probably too slow for aggro. I think this is more of a big beats deck that's trying to get out big stupid things early. But yeah, I just like that it's functionally it really works as, hey, remember that Ice Age? And just the art on it is so good. Oh.
It makes me think of what's the word? Medieval Illuminators.
And I think that's the point, because it was sort of like a very dark and forgotten time for the for most of Dominaria, because it was just like, we can't do anything. We're all dying down here.
And okay, how many brothers? Oh, God, I wish I had a magnifying glass right now, because the thing with Medieval Illumination is every little part tells the story. There are 3 small drawings at the top and the bottom, and they're the same figures. I believe they're Are they? I can't tell.
At the very top, there's a there's like a Pegasus and a bird.
No. I'm talking about above that.
Oh, I can't even see that.
That's my whole thing is I wish I had a magnifying glass because in medieval illumination work, even the little tiny things have to help with the story. And I'm just like, I want to this is a card I would love just like a really big version of so I could take a look at it in detail.
I'm willing to bet that we'll probably get something like that. The other thing I like is, and this may be me reading way too much into it, there was a thing in Cold Snap called Dark Depths, which was a frozen lake that was slowly starting to thaw out at the end of Cold Snap.
Mm-hmm.
And underneath it,
that could be what they're standing on.
You couldn't see really what was down there, but you could sort of see like awful tentacle things. And when you managed to remove 10 ice counters from the Dark Depths, you would get a 2020 Merit Lage token that was sort of like a pre-Eldrazi. So that's sort of what I'm reading, those tentacles that are sort of like sneaking out of the ice at the very bottom as. It's just like a small...
The Depths of Merit Lage.
Yeah.
Again, this is one of those cards that, like, they put so much care into it. It's so lovely.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a quick thing and just say I really like Wizard's Lightning and Wizard's Retort.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these are very similar to old cards. So there's an old card that says 2 blue mana, counter a spell. It's just called Counterspell. It's too good to be printed now. There's also a card that says 1 red mana, deal 3 damage. It's called Lightning Bolt. They're both amazing. Mm-hmm. So now we have Wizard's Retort and Wizard's Lightning. So Wizard's Retort costs 1 generic and 2 blue. It's an uncommon instant and says target counter target spell. However, it also says this spell costs 1 less to cast if you control a wizard. So if you control a wizard, it's a counter spell. Same thing for Wizard's Lightning. Wizard's Lightning costs 2 generic and a red. Wizard's Lightning deals 3 damage to any target. This spell costs 2 less to cast if you control a wizard. I just like that because it's a way to get these classic old cards that are way too good on their own back into
it's good.
Like rotation.
All right. Do you want to take Zahid, Djinn of the Lamp as well?
Yes. I think we can skip most of black though once we get down there. Like there's one thing in black that I want to talk about, but that's it.
Okay.
Unless there's anything in black that sounds good to you.
No, I was as you were saying that I was skimming black to see if there was anything that I'm like, I want this, or
okay.
I'm kind of meh.
So Zahid, Djinn of the Lamp. For 4 generic and 2 blue, he is a creature Djinn.
Legendary creature.
Legendary creature Djinn, sorry, yes. He is rare. He's a 5/6. You may pay 3 generic and a blue, and tap an untapped artifact you control rather than pay this spell. Oh, this spell's mana cost. So basically, you can play him for way less because he comes out of a lamp. I do as I please, little mortal. Do not go on about wishes, though they amuse me to no end.
I think he lost the sarcasm in that one. Do go on about your wishes, though they amuse me to no end.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably a reference to something, and I don't remember.
That's all right. I think we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, it might just be a reference to Aladdin's Lamp, but I don't know for sure. That seems silly.
I mean, in Aladdin's Lamp and that whole arc, any of the Djinn you
there was a magic card, I think, called Aladdin's Lamp.
What?
Yeah. Well, so there was, Mirage? Is this in Mirage? Because that technically wasn't set on Dominaria,
4th edition. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
No, yeah, this is not a reference to that, because this is from Mirage, which was not set on Dominaria.
Yeah. The fact that they have Aladdin's Lamp is like...
Well, they also have Aladdin's Ring.
Okay, so they're going with the traditional...
Yeah, Mirage was basically totally not Arabia.
Okay. Well, the whole point is... Well, the whole thing is, like, in the... I think Aladdin came from 1001 Arabian Nights, in that story set. there's a genie of the ring and a genie of the lamp in the like actual non-Disneyfied.
Oh, so maybe we'll see
version of
a
it.
genie of the lamp?
Maybe. Well,
Or
no,
the ring? Sorry.
possibly.
Yeah.
But Zahid, Jinn of the Lamp, is he's the lamp Jinn.
So
So there might be a Jinn of the Ring as well,
maybe.
if they're sticking with legends.
So here's the important one that I really want to talk about in black. Phyrexian scriptures.
That's what I figured.
'Kay.
You can go ahead and I'll take the next two.
So for 2 generic and 2 black, this is a mythic saga. So I'm gonna go down what the ability means, but I have more. I feel like the fact that the scriptures of the Phyrexians are saved as a saga on Dominaria is more important than what this card does, because this implies to me personally that after the Phyrexian invasion and the Phyrexians were functionally destroyed, at least the old true Phyrexians, someone decided that their religion and their whole like machine embodiment thing wasn't all that bad and started like moving towards it being a like religion again on Dominaria. So this means that we don't have true Phyrexians anymore. We have the people on New Phyrexia who are Phyrexians that were created by the oil and are entirely independent of all the old ideologies of the true Phyrexians. And then we've got these people on Dominaria who are apparently following Phyrexian scriptures, but are so removed from it that they still don't have... Like, all of the original Phyrexian scriptures were set down by Yawgmoth. Yawgmoth's dead. He didn't set down any of these things that they're going after. So whatever it is that they're basing this off of, it's probably not entirely accurate. I just like the idea that we now have 2 different factions of Phyrexians that may not have ever met, although Karn is now here sort of unifying them, that are following probably fundamentally different versions of this insane machine over flesh ideology.
Okay, that would make... Okay, yeah, that makes some sense.
Like, especially when these ones are a little bit closer to the true ones, where they're mono-black. They're mono-black and artifacty, and that's it. But when you go over to the new Phyrexians, you've got, like, the weird, like... Technically, they're all being run right now by the white Phyrexians that still have flesh, but have it as, like, this idea of the Church of the Machine orthodoxy. And then you've got the weird blue Phyrexians, and the slightly rebellious red Phyrexians, and the black Phyrexians that still aren't even like these almost not quite true ones, and the insane green ones that are basically just evolution and hunger are the primary, like, driving forces of what they believe Phyrexia is.
So gross.
I just like it so much.
I think it's for me. I went and I looked up Phyrexia, just artwork about Phyrexians.
Are you seeing, like, new or old Phyrexia?
I'm seeing, like, a combo of it.
Okay, because...
And it's horrifying.
Yeah, like... I still... So look up the Machine Orthodoxy, because they are easily my favorite faction in Magic. They are not pretty, I'll warn you that right now. Like, Elish Norn is the head of the Machine Orthodoxy. I am so sad that
Yeah, you showed me some of these.
Yeah, I'm so sad that there's no way I can afford to get the... There's an Elish Norn that's printed just with Phyrexian script. I think it's a Judge foil. I want it, but I cannot afford something like that. It's insane. So yeah, Phyrexian scriptures for 2 generic and 2 black. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on top of... Sorry, I read this so wrong. Put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature. That creature becomes an artifact in addition to its other types. For 2, destroy all non-artifact creatures.
Oh, good.
3, exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards.
Oh, God, that's mean. That is mean.
This is similar to stuff that the Phyrexians did do, because their whole thing was that, no, we will replace, like, flesh with machine, and machine is better, and, like, even their normal people still were sort of, like, zombified and had machine bits. I just love the bit at the end about, like, and now exile everyone's graveyards, because if we can't use your graveyard, if we can't use your dead bodies, then you can't either.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so beautifully evil.
It is. I love it.
Also, with the saga cards, I really, even though I don't know as much of the story behind the saga and all of that, I really like how much thought is put into like the abilities on the card.
I love that
tying
too.
back to a story. That's really cool. So basically, I guess Dominaria is essentially, this set is going to be our like, yes, the lore, the nitty gritty bits and bobs.
It is, and I'm so happy. It's
kind of cool. It's very much up our alley where like the tiniest thing holds so much detail.
I mean, there's definitely going to be some stuff that neither of us will catch because there are going to probably be like art callouts that I wasn't playing back then, and I've gone back and looked at a lot of it, but it doesn't mean I can remember all the art I've ever seen.
And to be fair, Magic is about as old as we are. It's older than me.
Magic came out the month I was born. Like, the first Magic set released the same month that I was born.
Put that into perspective, kids. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, so...
I feel like you should get the next big one since I just grabbed 2.
You did. Alright. So the next card is...
No. I think you should jump ahead and get the big one.
Yes. Into red.
Yes, but I think you should jump those first 2 and jump straight to the big one.
Yes! Jaya Ballard! The legendary planeswalker.
I've already got her up.
Cool. So for 2 generic and 3 red, Jaya Ballard starts off with 5 counters.
Ballard.
It's Ballard?
Ballard.
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 Okay. Ballard. Jaya Ballard. That's okay. So for +1, add 3 red. Spend this mana only to cast instant or sorcery spells. For another +1, discard up to 3 cards, then draw that many cards.
Ooh, I didn't realize that it was discard up to 3 cards.
Yeah.
So, like, if you really want to, you can just go, I'm not going to discard any cards, but she gets +1 loyalty. I mean, functionally that seems dumb, but still, that's really nice, and I like that it's really good red card draw.
True. And then, for -8, you get an emblem with, you may cast instant and sorcery cards from your graveyard. If a card cast this way would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Okay.
She seems good. Like, she seems really expensive and very niche into red just because of the 3 red, but she seems really good.
Pretty much. But I mean, I like the ability to... So, I guess my issue with red, sometimes it's harder to play a more sorcery-based red deck. Or at least I've had issues playing a more sorcery-based red deck. But with Jaya as your commander with that +1 to get 3, spend this mana only to cast instant or sorcery spells, it's like sorcery, instant. If depending on how, I guess, what the mana cost is going to be for a lot of the sorceries and instants.
I mean, that's going to be enough to get you most things. Like, I mean, pretty much... Actually, that is enough to cast any red spell that we've already seen.
Yes. So, I'm like, I'm digging it. Alright, I'm looking... I don't know a lot about her.
We've sort of already covered her backstory as much as either of us remember it. I think we'll probably end up going deeper into that later. I don't think we really need to cover either of these sagas, and I think we can do them later. Do we want to just, like...
for one thing, the Flame of Keld was one of the mechanic ones that we talked about.
Yeah, we did talk about Flame of Keld. So...
Let's hop down to green, I think.
So there's only... okay, so one I want to talk about just because it's an amazing callback that, holy crap, they actually reprinted it.
Go for it.
But it's going to take like a half second. So...
Okay.
Just Llanowar Elves. Holy crap, they reprinted Llanowar Elves. It's amazing. It also has less stupid art now. Yay! That's it. That's all I have to say about it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
okay.
Llanowar Elves is a old classic card, but it's often had kind of bad art in my opinion.
Yeah, okay. I'm pulling up images for it, so just I know what it looks like.
So, while you're doing that, I'm just going to bring up the other green card, which is just Steel Leaf Champion. It's Leatherback Baloth, but better. Like, Leatherback Baloth, if I remember correctly, was a 5/4, or maybe it was a 4/5 for 3 green. This is a 5/4 for 3 green creature Elf Knight, so relevant types. Steel Leaf Champion can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. That's amazing. Like, no, you can't block me. Get out of the way.
Sweet.
I think there's only one real card left to talk about then, if you want to talk about the multicolor.
Yeah, so Shana, Sisei's Legacy. So for green and white, this is a legendary creature, human warrior, and it's got 0/0. So Shanna Sisei's Legacy can't be the target of abilities your opponents control. And then Shanna gets +1/+1 for each creature you control. I am heir to many treasures. None is as precious as knowing how my ancestor lived her life.
Sisei was the Weatherlight's captain, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure she was the captain.
Yes, during, it looks like, Invasion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
She's
it was
immune
Sisei ship's
to-
captain, yeah.
She's immune to magic. Okay.
Wait, Sisei was?
Yeah.
I don't think that was reflected in her card. If I remember correctly, Sisei's whole deal was that, like on her card at least, was that she dug out other... No,
Legendaries.
yeah, she dug out other legendaries. She was basically the... Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Captain Sisei for 2 generic, a green and a white legendary creature human soldier. She's a 2/2. You can tap her, search your library for a legendary card, reveal that card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Yeah, she was functionally a Nick Fury for the Weatherlight.
Weatherlight?
Yeah, the Weatherlight Avengers, basically, yeah.
No, sorry, it sounds like Nick Fury might have been the Captain Sisei of the Avengers then. Just because she sounds really cool.
Nick Fury was around before Magic.
Okay. I'm just being sassy though.
Yeah, the Magic has been around for 20 years, but Nick Fury's been around since, like, Vietnam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although, wait, wasn't he all... Hang on.
He's been different races at different points. I don't know what you're actually checking.
I thought he was also... Let's see. In my...
What are you looking up?
Nope, this might have been someone else, and I will find it eventually.
Well, what were you trying to check?
Oh, who his mother is. For some reason, I thought his mother was a witch.
Nick Fury?
No, it was something... So, I was the kind of kid who got the encyclopedias for different superheroes.
Okay.
And I can't remember who... For some reason, I kept thinking that his mother was a witch, but it was someone else that looks similar to him.
To be fair, the current Nick Fury is also, depending on which canon you're looking at, the son of the white Nick Fury that was in Vietnam. It's very strange. There are certain weird aspects of Marvel timeline that don't make a heck of a lot of sense, because they operate under this weird thing where World War II is a set fixed point in time, and Vietnam is a set fixed point in time, but everything else in, like, modern Marvel canon happened a couple of years ago. So, like, the Civil War, and I'm not talking about the movies, by the way, but, like, the Civil War and House of M and a whole bunch of other things functionally all somehow had to happen within, like, a 3-year space or something.
Yeah.
It's weird. Their canon is strange.
Definitely.
I can't think of any superhero whose mother is a witch, though. Not off the top of my head.
I don't know why this is like, that was what was in my brain, but this is something where when I go home, I'm taking it with me. Just because I like encyclopedias of superheroes.
Yeah.
Because they're awesome. But, is there anything else you want to talk about? I mean, we kind of dorked out about the artwork that we thought was cool as we were going.
Nothing in particular.
I don't think the land or the artifacts are like, I want to, like, I don't feel the need to talk about these. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean,
do you feel a pressing desire?
No, I mean, because we've got the Guardians of Koilos, which is a reference to, I don't even remember. Like, that's a deep cut, and I don't remember it at all. You've got Power Stone Shard, which I guess is sort of a reference to one of the many, like, power stones, like the Might Stone and the Weak Stone and such.
Yeah.
And the Zalfinir Void. But, I mean, that one's actually kind of a weird one to me, but... Because it's literally just Teferi standing at the edge of a continent going, like, my home used to be here. It's still not here.
Yep. It's sad.
Can't bring it back because I'm not a god.
It's kind of sad, though. It's like the wind whispers, come home. But I cannot. That's so depressing and emo.
That's very depressing.
That's so emo.
I think Teferi also is getting a card in this set.
Okay.
So the thing is, we don't have... Oh, where are they? Because they're not officially in this set. It's these stupid Planeswalker decks.
I have so many tabs open at the top of my screen right now.
Me too.
And this is after exiting out of all the ones that I did. So I've been trying to exit out as we've been searching and talking, and I'm just like, okay, cool, exit, and then I end up with like 12 tabs at the top of my screen again. I'm pulling up information.
Oh god, I know what's here.
Beautiful.
Sorry, I'm trying to find a... Oh, crap, there's one card we do need to talk about. I'll send it to you in just a second.
Okay.
And...
Oh, did you ever find that globe that you were talking about?
Oh, no, I didn't even look for it yet, sorry. Sorry, I was trying to see if I could find... I feel like they showed the cards that are in the Planeswalker decks. Like, there's the whole... Each Planeswalker deck has a common, an uncommon, a rare, and a Planeswalker that are in Standard, but are only ever in the Planeswalker decks. And I don't have them anymore, so I don't know where they are. Okay, so this one has some issues with it.
Is it a link that you're going to send to me?
Yes.
Interesting. Oh, because I was looking up Koilos just out of curiosity.
Okay.
The word Koilos actually means hollow in Greek, which is like, okay, cool.
Okay, so this is another one of these cards where it's going to be it's a standard legal card. It isn't in the set, and the only way to get it is to pre-order a box from your local store. Except that, one, the supplies are limited, so just because you pre-ordered a box doesn't mean you're getting it. If you're pre-ordering from an online store, you're definitely not getting it. And apparently some stores are charging premiums for it. Yeah, the extra issue is that, one, this is actually a really amazing commander for a tribe that a lot of people would like more commanders for. The other thing is that Wizards is currently pushing a new format called Brawl. Brawl is basically Commander, except that it uses the standard, like, rotation. So there's way fewer cards in it, which means hopefully way fewer broken things. But it also means that there's way fewer legends that we have available, so this would be a legend you could use. Oh, by the way, it's also only 60 cards, so yeah, it's easier to play. But this would be one of the legends in Standard, but now it's not going to be freely available while they're trying to push this new format, so there are some issues. But
yeah,
I think this is an intriguing card. If you want to read it, I wish that it wasn't being released in this format, but meh.
Sure. So, Fire Song and Sunspeaker. For 4 generic, a red and a white. This is a legendary creature, a Minotaur Cleric, for 4/6. So, red instant and sorcery spells you control have lifelink. Awesome. Whenever a white instant or sorcery spell causes you to gain life, Fire Song and Sunspeaker deals 3 damage to target creature or player. Oh. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm going to get life, and then also smack.
Yeah, especially if you could do it with something like, say, Lightning Helix, which admittedly wouldn't be in Brawl, but still. So Lightning Helix for a red and a white is deal 3 damage to anything, then gain 3 life. So it would basically be deal 3 damage, and then gain 3 life because of the effect on the card, then gain 3 life from the lifelink, and then deal 3 more damage to target creature or player.
Nice.
Yeah, I thought so.
That's a really solid card. That's probably slightly even more than, I would say that's more than solid. That's pretty damn awesome. Sweet. But with that, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I'm really quickly trying to do a super stupid search.
Okay.
Oh, for God's sake. I'm trying to find out how many legendary creature... Oh, that's the other thing, is that you could totally use planeswalkers as commanders in Brawl.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to see how many there were, but there's no easy way to search for that on my thing, and I don't want to deal with gatherers, so meh.
Yeah.
It suffice to say, when I searched legendary, which admittedly does include land and enchantments, there were like 79, so it's clearly not that small a pool, so meh.
Mm-mm.
Oh, but yes, I think that's pretty much all we have got for today.
I would say this was a slightly longer episode than we've done recently, but it was a good episode.
So I think with that, we are going to head out. Please remember that you can find everything that we do at our website. That's lairoflore.com. We also stream very regularly, basically every day but Sunday. We have a scheduled stream. You can find the whole schedule on our Twitch page at twitch.tv/lairoflore. You can also find all of our VODs posted to youtube.com/lairoflore and as well on lairoflore.com. And if you enjoy what we do, you can support us on Patreon at patreon.com/lairoflore.com. You can also do that on our Twitch page with bits or subscriptions or whatever you feel like. Mm-hmm. And if you want to get up-to-date news on when we're doing stuff and also just silly stuff that we post, you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, both of which are Lair of Lore. There's a theme. I hope you have figured it out. I know you can do it. I'm betting you probably figured it out after, like, the second one. Anyway,
we made a big deal about it.
Yeah, anyway, I think with that, unless you've got anything, Miriam, I think we're done.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay.